Hello my astrology friends and welcome to your astrological forecast for June 2026. Yes, nearly halfway through the year. Unbelievable. My name's Demian Allan, and if you like the video then please subscribe and just click the like button because it all helps to spread the word of astrology. In this video I'm going to do an overview of what to expect from an astrological perspective in June 2026, and then I'm going to take a look at the 12 signs of zodiac from your sun sign and your rising sign. So basically you could have two signs that you listen out for. Okay, so let's get started with the overview of June 2026. This is going to be a very, very powerful month for us all, and there's some real shifts from an astrological perspective that are going on. The first I want to talk about is on the 19th when the asteroid Chiron moves into Taurus. Briefly, but it's enough to shake the foundations for us all. Chiron, known as the wounded healer, works on a collective level as well as an individual. And over the next few years, we're going to experience quite a shift in how we view the economic aspects of our daily lives, and it's going to bring in a huge amount of changes on that side of things and how we value ourselves from a financial perspective and how we deal with money as well. Are we about to go into a cashless society? Well, certainly with Uranus in Gemini you would expect, but the Chiron in Taurus likes the tangible, so it's a bit of a battle that's going on here. Now, this is going to be quite a big effect on Taurian Scorpios particularly, but for me this really brings out a sense of a shift in how we view our body, how we look after it, nutrition as well. All kind of health matters is going to be very, very strong as Chiron transits through the astrological sign of Taurus. The next big one to look out for is the 30th of June, because Jupiter, for the first time in 12 years, ingresses into Leo, where it will be for about just over 11 months. This is really kind of significant because Jupiter has been exalted in Cancer for just under a year. Now it shifts into Leo, and growth expansion is going to affect particularly the astrological sign of Leo in a big way. But for us all, Jupiter in Leo is a day sign, and Jupiter is a day planet, so it complements rather well. And because Leo is a fixed sign as well, Jupiter has something that it can bring to the table in terms of stability in the growth and expansion. And I'm optimistic about this one. However, it is going to oppose Pluto. Not so much at the end of this month, you're not going to feel it, but definitely for July and August, you're going to really kind of feel that energy. And I'll talk about that in perhaps a separate video. So these are big kind of shifts that are occurring. Pluto is going retrograde this month, and that's going to bring out a kind of withdrawal of energy on the big collective field here. But as I said in the previous month of May, you know, Pluto is the only one that's going retrograde. All the rest of the planets are moving forward, which is great. You know, we've got Mercury at the start in Cancer. We've got Venus in Cancer at the start. We've got Mars in Taurus. That's a tricky one. Mars in Taurus finds it difficult. And that will be right to the end on the 29th. That moves into Gemini, which it can be a little lighter in energy. As I said, Jupiter is in Cancer until the 30th when it moves into Leo. Saturn is traveling and going very quickly for Saturn anyway in Aries. Uranus, Gemini, and Neptune as well in Aries. So things are moving forward. Things are moving at quite a pace. And I think this is kind of an interesting month because we have got the Chiron and the Jupiter changes that always marks a period of themes that come up during that time that are going to play out over a number of years in Chiron's case, or a year in Jupiter's case. And I think what's really kind of interesting about this month is the fact that the outer planets are really settled now in the zodiac signs. Uranus is now settled in Gemini. Neptune is settled in Aries. Pluto has settled in Aquarius. So we have this kind of energy that's really kind of working on that level of these planets are working through those zodiac signs and bringing those themes across. What you get here is a lot of turbulence of the old way of doing things, while the new way of doing things is coming in here. So over the last 3 to 4 months, we've had a lot of political, economic turbulence that's going on. And you can really kind of see that the old way and the new way are sort of clashing. That's what you get when you have these outer planets shifting into new signs of the zodiac. And my kind of sense is now there's a little bit of a settling down process. And I mean, with astrology and planetary combinations, there's always, you know, there's always like everything. There's a good way that the planets can play out, and there's a bad way, but there's also grey areas in between that. So although we can say, oh, right, fundamentally it's a lot, it seems to be more positive, we can also say that there's going to be the shadow aspects of those planetary aspects that are playing out. So for example, you know, Uranus and Gemini, technology, innovation, things going at quite a pace, particularly in the eyes of AI. But we can also see the polarity of that, which is, of course, that, you know, this takes away the human connection and maybe, you know, loss of jobs. So there is always a kind of a balancing act. And I think that's really important to kind of say, because as an astrologer, I'm actually quite optimistic about the way that things are moving forward. But if you're tied to a certain way of thinking, and there is quite a convention, or you're a person that likes the way things have been, then this might be a little bit more of a challenging period for you, and it might feel that things are speeding up. And a lot of what's coming up to the surface is about personal ownership, about what you have and what's yours, and what you can contribute and what you can do. And it's trying to switch your mentality to that thinking process that is going to help you a lot during this particular period here. And that would be by the use of technology in a positive sense as well. So I think June really marks a period when we're starting to look at that much more readily. We're starting to really take that on board. And people in power coming up and exploring new ideas of new ways of doing things. But the old people in power finding that incredibly difficult because they're going against it. So we've got this little battle that's going on. And that's amplified by the planets. And that's when I go back to what I was saying about Chiron in Taurus. You know, Chiron Taurus is going to affect the way that we earn our money, the way that we value ourselves. And I think that that's going to have quite a profound effect for a lot of us out there. And it's that shift that happens on the 19th that is going to start to see some of the themes around that time play out. We've got the summer solstice, of course, that's happening on the 21st this month, this year, I should say, which is always a celebratory time when Sun enters into Cancer. That's about 9:24 UK time for us all. So that's just after Chiron has moved into Taurus. So really, really good time. We've got a new moon on the 15th. That's at 24 degrees in Gemini. That's going to occur. And then the next moon cycle is going to be right at the end of the month, which is on the 30th, which is also when Jupiter enters into Leo. That's a full moon at 8 degrees in Capricorn. That's more of a tricky one, actually. That's the one I'm going to kind of concentrate on because of the Saturn square and Neptune square. That one's going to be a very kind of a difficult one for most of us. And the moon is not very comfortable at all in Capricorn. So how do I feel about this? Well, there's going to be a lot of shifts. There's the Jupiter factor, the Chiron, that's going to play quite a big contributing factor to this month. And I think that all of us are going to feel this vibration that is very different from what we've experienced before. And that's going to bring out a very different energy and a different way of thinking about moving forward. But it is a bit tread carefully as well because of those shifts that are happening. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 12 signs of zodiac, looking at your sun sign and your rising sign. So if you've got a sun sign that's like, say, Aries, but your rising sign is Cancer, then listen to both. Okay, so let's start off with Aries sun or Aries rising. Okay, so you guys have got Mars as your ruler. Mars has been traveling in your second solar house from last month and continues to do this month, which means that you're concentrating on money issues, possessions, financial planning, which has been quite intense, particularly at the back end of the last month, because Mars was squaring Pluto. So you might have had to come to some realizations about finances and what you're going to do with them. When you work with Taurus energy, it's about long planning. So it's not short-term fixes. It's about putting things in place and going, okay, how do I get this kind of moving into the right direction? How do I do the long-term planning rather than short-term fixes? Because it's just not going to work for you. There's a lot of activity going on in the home environment for you, Aries sun, Aries rising. So it might mean that you are forced to confront issues to do with the home environment, or spending more time with family members or dealing with family members. And that could take up your time because you're trying to plan for your financial, but it's putting things in place. Right at the end of the month, your ruler will go into your third house, which is the house of communication, technology, learning, and short distance travel. So you might be coming into a period of a bit more activity around you, which you'll be pleased at, because Aries likes to keep on moving forward. It does not like to remain stagnant or look back in the past. So it's a bit more of a playful energy that's coming towards you. The big news about Jupiter entering into Leo is that enters into your fifth house, and it's another fire sign like yourself. So you are able to be a bit more self-expressive, a bit more creative, connect with people on that playful energy. And it might mean that you are feeling a little bit more expansive in how you individualize yourself as well, and how you put yourself across, particularly if you're like self-employed or stuff like that. Or even if you're in employment, you might want to express yourself in a much more way that makes you stand out from other people. And I think that's going to be a real big kind of aspect coming into a theme for the year for you Arians. Right at the end of the month, we've got that full moon on the 30th in Capricorn. That's a lot to do with career. It's also being squared by Saturn and Neptune. So 29th, 30th, and the 31st, just afterward, a little bit of a tricky energy for you, actually, because I think you'll find that there's a lot going on in your work. But here's the key to it. Do the planning of the Mars in your second house. And by the time you get to the 30th, things should be a lot clearer for you and a lot better. So just be aware of that. Okay? Right, let's go into Taurus sun, Taurus rising. So Taurians probably thought, right, Uranus had left. Here we go. I can settle down. I can relax. However, 19th, we've got the asteroid Chiron moving into your own zodiac sign. Pretty powerful. Even though it's an asteroid, it still packs a bit of a punch. If we think about Taurus as a zodiac sign, then we can look at some of the themes of stability, determination, planning, use of the body or being comfortable in the body, enjoying pleasure, all of those kind of things. Chiron is an energy that looks at the wounds of that particular Taurian energy. So it's not to say that all Taurians are going to feel like the sort of wounded bulls wandering around, but they might want to become more Taurian and more celebratory of the particular stability, determination, and those sort of qualities, and to enjoy what we'd say the beautiful things in life a lot more, because they are much more conscious and aware that they may not be getting those qualities that they need in life. And so typical Taurus will go, right, well, I need that. That's what I'm going to kind of go towards. So if you've been a Taurus that's been sacrificing yourself for the benefit of other people or other commitments, then you might be switching to going, no, this is what I need. And that's part of the healing that Chiron energy. I'm going to do a separate video on Chiron in all the 12 zodiac signs, so look out for that. As a general, you've got the planet Mars in your own sign for most of this month, so it's an active month, it's a busy month, you know, on a general basis. You've got Venus going into Leo as well in the second half, around about from the 13th onwards. That's to do with home and family. And of course, you've got the energy of Jupiter on the 30th going into your 4th house as well. So a lot going on with maybe moving or looking at moving for the year ahead, or expansion to do with family issues as well. But that Chiron is a big shift for a lot of Taurians this month. And I think that they're gonna feel it, and I think that they're going to start to become more bullish, dare I say. Okay, Gemini Sun, Gemini Rising. Okay, Geminis. I think all of you are still trying to get used to that fact that you've got Uranus there, and it's kind of made things interesting for you. And there's lots of ideas for Geminis at the moment, and has been, and I could do this, I could do that. They're probably spreading themselves too thin, like Geminis do tend to do. And I think that one of the things that I think is going to come across, certainly for this month, is this kind of sense of playfulness and energy of wanting to do projects in the community and really bring those to attention, and really kind of bringing in other people that can help you. So it's a bit like the Pied Piper really for a lot of Geminis there. But let's kind of get into this, because what's really interesting, I kind of feel, is the fact that there's a lot of energy towards the reflective as well, particularly that Mars in your 12th solar house, and being reflective and looking at your reserves of energy and have you got enough, and is that going to see you through the month, basically, because you've been buzzing around. And I would say yes, you will have the reserves, but I think for you it's wanted to connect with people a lot. And if you've got a job or your business is about connecting people, then you should be really kind of getting the most out of this and really coming out with some new fresh ideas that are going to bring out huge amounts of changes here. The Chiron moving into Taurus, into your 12th house on the 19th, is interesting, because the 12th house in modern astrology is known as, I love this, the house of self-undoing. Basically means that, you know, we can be our own worst enemy. In traditional astrology, it's more about seclusion, hidden enemies, you know, and it's where we go to retreat from the world. Chiron in there needs time to step back and be able to be objective. And when you put that in contrast to what's going on with this Uranus in your own zodiac sign, then you've got a little bit of a friction of trying to get time out for yourself, but also getting involved in the community and sharing your ideas. And this is going to be very, very powerful for a lot of you. And I think that this is what's going to be the inner conflict that's going to come from this particular period. And that is, how do I get this balance? Now, I would say in June, you're more conscious and aware of it. And because you're more conscious and aware of it, it's going to make it a little bit easier. But you do need time out this month. Even if it's for a couple of days, you can't be full on all the time. You've got to get that balance right. Okay, Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising. So for you, Venus, Mercury is in your own sign for the first half of the month. So it's quite a busy month for you. The two inner planets there, the planet of how we relate and communication. So it's a busy time. This is your last month of Jupiter in your own zodiac sign. So if you're born at the end of the sun being at Cancer, then there's a lot happening. There's a lot of expansion. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of growth. Sometimes a little bit too much, but there you go. And then on the 30th, it'll move into the next zodiac sign, which is Leo, and Jupiter will be back in your own sign in 12 years' time. So, and that might feel a little bit like things are settling down a lot, because I've had a lot of clients with a lot of Cancer rising. So Jupiter's been in the first house, coming to me, particularly the last kind of year, and going, well, I've got this, I've got that, I don't know really what to do, all that kind of stuff. For me, in terms of Cancerians for this month, it's leading up to that, on the 30th, that full moon in Capricorn. That full moon is quite a difficult full moon. It squares Neptune. It squares Saturn. And this is all in, and it's all in the opposite, your opposing house of the 7th house, which is other people. So there's a lot going on leading up to that. And a lot of big decisions are going to be made for Cancerians this month about relationships in general. And what a full moon does is it magnifies. So this is interesting because the day that the full moon happens, you've got Jupiter moving into the next zodiac sign, which will be the 2nd house, which will be the house of finance as well for you. We've got quite a lot to contend with. As well as that, Chiron on the 19th moves into your 11th solar house, which is house of friendships. I just feel for a lot of Cancerians, there could be a little bit of a purging of connections here, or certainly being much more truthful with people and going, what are we doing with this situation? So it's the first half is relatively busy and quiet, and then it's that second half of the month where it really kind of gets quite amplified, and a lot sort of begins to go on. And I would say hold tight. Hold tight. Don't make any big decisions at this point. You're going to feel extra emotional, particularly around that full moon, and extra responsible. There's a lot going in your career at the end, because this is all hitting as well a 10th house, which is how others view you and where your career is going. So just be very cool, logical, dare I say it to Cancerians because they're so emotional, but also intuitive. But try not to take things to heart during that particular last week of the month. Okay, Leo suns, Leo rising. Right, fanfare, drum roll. Here comes Jupiter on the 30th going into your own sign of the zodiac for the first time in 12 years. What a wonderful combination to have. If life has been a bit sort of muddied and a bit slow, and opportunities really haven't sort of produced the way that you would like them to, then look out. Things are going to get certainly a lot faster in energy. A lot more opportunities are going to come for you. It's trying to differentiate between the good opportunities and the ones that are not going to work for you. But this is quite a very, very significant year ahead for you. It all happens at the end of the month, so you're not really going to feel. So June's not your kind of month. It's going to be July when you'll really kind of feel it. But it's still enough for you to kind of get that optimism coming in, and that there is this intuitive knowing, hang on, change is happening. A lot of you had Pluto to contend with in your opposing sign, particularly if you're born in the early part of the sun in Leo. And it's a kind of a welcome thing that this Jupiter comes in, bounding in, and gives you that kind of sense of optimism. And, I could do anything kind of energy that Jupiter does. it is the key to this is being stable with it as well. And Leo is a fire fixed sign, so it does need stability to achieve and to initiate. But Jupiter will certainly help things along here as well. And it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of career changes that are going to come in with Jupiter going into Leo for Leos. And this is marked by the fact that Chiron is going to go into your 10th house. And that's from the 19th. And Chiron in the 10th house is like finding your vocation, finding your path, finding what works for you, finding where you can help others. And so if you've been a Leo that's kind of like, okay, I don't really know where I'm going, then suddenly I think there's going to be ideas going to be popping into your awareness that's going to go, oh, that looks really good. Or things are just going to kind of open up to give you that kind of, this is your path ahead. No longer are you shackled by the insecurities that you once were. I think that would be the best way to put it for Leos. And again, this is going to be towards the end of the month that's really going to come in. But leading up to that, you will see, and I always say this about planets, when they move from one zodiac sign to another or an asteroid, you don't necessarily, you find that the planets, the themes start to play out before that planet or asteroid ingresses into that zodiac sign. So you get these little ideas that come in of how that's going to play out. I always like to describe it as like, you know, somebody's knocked on the door, your front door. They're not in your house or flat yet, but they're at your front door and they're knocking and you can hear them. That's like the planet's about to come into that new house. So for Leos, I think it's going to be quite a big kind of shift, a lot going on, and a bit of a build up for the month. Okay, Virgo rising, Virgo sun signs. Your ruler Mercury is in Cancer, and then it will move into and then it's in Cancer for the month. Oh, I've had a bit of a Mercury retrograde moment, and that leaves me nicely to say that yes, I'm afraid Mercury, your ruler, will be retrograde. It actually starts retrograde on the 30th. 30th is a real key date here. I'll talk about Mercury retrograde in my July video because that's when it's really kind of retrograde. But it's a key aspect because on the 30th we've got Jupiter going into Leo. We've got a full moon in Capricorn, and we've got Mercury retrograde. So it's a big kind of day that in the astrology world. Interestingly, what I'm going to talk about is the fact that Mars is in your 9th house for the majority of the month, and that is bringing a kind of a sense of education matters, higher education matters coming up to the forefront, or training, stuff like that. I think a lot for Virgos they're still relieved that the fact that Saturn and Neptune has moved out of their opposing sign and moved into the 8th house. So the 8th house is a bit of a funny house in astrology because it's known as other people's money or investments and tax. I've said this before, it's like, for me, it's like a bit of a therapeutic house. It's where all the skeletons in the closet are. And, you know, Saturn is transiting through that for the next couple of years for you Virgos. And that's kind of working on your inner resources and what makes you tick and your motivations. And you may feel a need to delve in deeper into your own subconscious and your own patterns of behavior and really work through stuff that needs to be worked through. And the 8th house is opposing the 2nd house, so there is a financial element to that, and about, again, how we value ourselves is going to be kind of really important. The Chiron on the 19th moving into Taurus is going to be interesting because that's going to bring out a lot of energy to do with widening your scope of vision of the world and things around you, and ideas and different opinions and different morals and ethics that are going to be kind of start to change the way you look at the world, and these new ideas coming through that ultimately will set up a a course of action for a career change further down the line, 2033, 34. So, you know, you've sort of got that sort of coming very, very strongly for you. So for Virgos, you know, it's all about the shadow period of the Mercury retrograde here, particularly, that's going to take place. Okay, Libra sun, Libra rising. Okay, Venus, your ruler, is in Cancer, and then it moves into Leo, where it's going to, from the 19th, no, it's not. It's going to go into Leo, which, you know, is all about the kind of friendship area. So increasing friendships or connections here for you. I think for Librans, if you're born in the early stages of Librans, when the sun goes into Librans, about the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, oh my God, you're really getting the energy of Uranus. And Uranus is kind of moving quite quickly now through Gemini, an air sign like yourself. So this can be quite nice, actually, because some new ideas are really coming into your mind, and you're starting to benefit. It's, you know, Uranus is an air sign like yourself, so it's starting to benefit a lot from that. And I think the one thing I would say about Librans is, yes, okay, you've got Saturn opposing you, and you've got Neptune. Watch out for the 30th, though. Lots going on the 30th, but the big thing is that full moon Capricorn. That can be a bit of an effect for you to do with family and stuff like that at that time. And if you do property coming up, it's a bit of a magnified day. It's also the day that Jupiter goes into Leo. What can I say about that? I'll tell you what I'll say about that. You have got, over it the next 11 months and so, you're going to be making connections with lots of people. You are going to be stepping into, suddenly things are going to open up a lot on that side of things. But the 30th does bring about that quality of, you know, it's kind of a magnified period that's really going to happen for you. Apart from that, for Librans, a little bit of a quieter month than most. Okay, Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising. Scorpios, interesting. Relationships. Let's talk about that. When I talk about relationships, it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be business partnerships. It's just how we relate to other people as well. But the 19th, Chiron will move into your 7th solar house, briefly. And it's going to bring out the themes of how you relate to other people. This is going to be absolutely significant because it's a real kind of shift of the inner wounds here. Scorpios like to keep themselves very much to themselves. Given this kind of reputation of being secretive, I think that's a little bit unfair. I think it's more that they don't like to give away too much because it takes them a long time to trust people generally. The Chiron is going to come along and go, well, do you know what? You're going to have to be a little bit more open, a little bit more giving, and you're going to have to trust in other people quicker than you normally would. Why? Because opportunities for growth comes from that. And that's going to play out, and that's going to be the kind of the theme that's going to really play out. Here's the thing for Scorpios as well. Jupiter on the 30th moves into your 10th house. Wow. You've got a year of expansion and growth and opportunity and promotion and new starts, new businesses to do with your career. It's a huge kind of shift that's going on here. And I think for a lot of Scorpios, the 10th and the 7th house are always in square with each other. That means there's always a friction there. There's always a dynamic energy. So the connections that you make are gonna, over the next year, is gonna help your development in your career. And that's why you have to be kind of a little bit more open, a little bit more trusting, and learn that fact. You're not gonna do it straight away, but you are gonna start to see that manifested in you. And that's gonna be a huge change in the way that you deal with life and the way that you see yourself. Okay, Sagittarius sun, Sagittarius rising. Your planet Jupiter, 30th, goes into a fire sign of Leo, ignites that kind of energy. Wow. Okay, we're now in a territory where we feel like Jupiter is connecting with us. I know that Jupiter has been in Cancer and Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, but to Sagittarius, it's in aversion to it, to that particular sign. It's 150 degrees apart. They don't connect. So Sagittarians have been like, oh, Jupiter's really, doing nicely in an exalted sign. Sagittarius haven't really benefited from it. They haven't. It's only when we get to, when it goes into Leo, that it makes a natural trine, 120 degree aspect to the Sagittarius, that actually it can do something. It's like, oh, you can talk to each other. So this is great because for a lot of you, it's like there has been this kind of sense of things moving but not quite moving. This is all happening in your 9th solar house, which is your natural house. So again, travel, opportunities abroad, teaching, learning, training, morals, ethics, spirituality, astrology, publishing. All of these kind of themes are going to be where a lot of the opportunities are going to come for you. And I think you're going to really kind of get into that. I think you're going to be like, oh my, this is great. So suddenly Jupiter is talking to you. And that is absolutely fantastic. Now listen, on that 30th, we've also got a full moon that's going to fall in your 2nd house of finances. So you might have a little bit of a check on the financial level that you've got to kind of bring in before all of that here as well. But for me, the Jupiter starts to really talk to you. You feel, oh, I'm at home again. I can function. I can plan. I can do stuff. That's how it's going to sort of play out for you. Okay, Capricorn Sun, Capricorn rising. Lots going in your 7th house to do with Mercury and Venus traveling at the early part of the month. Which I think is going to mean that you're connecting with a lot of people and it's quite a busy period, but we're all leading up to that 30th full moon in your own sign, squaring Saturn and Neptune. A little bit tough on you actually here. Family issues coming to a bit of a point, or dealing with family issues. Oh, I have to say it could be property. If you're trying to move, then this could be quite a big day for you leading up to it. Lot going on, and we got Mercury going retrograde as well in your opposing sign of Cancer, so it's really leading up to that particular period. Hold on to your hats, for you Capricorns. It's going to be a busy time because your ruler is Saturn as well, is squaring this full moon on the 30th. It's a bit more challenging, so just look out for that. I think for Capricorns, it's going to feel like far too busy for them because they've still got Jupiter in the 7th house in Cancer. On the 30th, Jupiter will leave on the day of that full moon and go into your 8th house. But I think that it's going to feel really, really kind of really busy. And it's like picking up the pieces in early July. That's what it's going to feel like. Okay, how do I put things together again a little bit for Capricorns? Okay, Aquarius Sun, Aquarius rising. Let's talk about Jupiter going into your 7th house, and the 30th for a year. 7th house is about relationships, how we relate to people. You're going to make some really good connections. You're going to have an expansion in that area of your life. This is the first time it's happened in 12 years. You're going to feel like other people are going to bring opportunities for you and open up your world. So when any planet comes in the 7th house, it means that people come into your life that have that Jupiterian quality. They go, well, we'd like to do this, we'd like to do that. And they bring that out to yourself. So for a lot of Aquarians, yeah, they're going to be connecting a lot with people. They've got the full moon to contend with. I mean, the 30th is kind of such a big day astrologically. Mercury retrograde, full moon in Capricorn, Jupiter going into Leo. That full moon's hitting your 12th house, so that might mean at the end of the month you're going to have to take some time out, or definitely some kind of retreat, or just be a bit more on your own because you might feel a bit sort of battered and wounded from life in general. But here's the other thing: Chiron moves into your 4th house, into Taurus, on the 19th, and that's to do with the home and security level, family and stuff like that. That brings up healing wounds from the past. to do with family. That really, you'll be working a lot on that kind of energy. So you can see for a lot of Aquarians, it's a busy time. Plus, they've got Uranus in the 5th house as well, so that's sort of settling in. So they're definitely kind of feeling a little bit more experimental, a little bit more expressive, and less dutiful in a way. Much more Uranian than Saturn, we'll find in a lot of Aquarians. Okay, Pisces Sun, Pisces Rising. Okay, Pisces, what have you got to look forward to? What's happening with you? Right, your traditional ruler is Jupiter. It's going to go in on the 30th to Leo. That's in your 6th house. Jupiter's not that comfortable in the 6th house. It's to do with your work and environment and health matters. Those might be benefited. Work environment might actually begin to expand. And when I say work environment, I talk about your mundane work, not your career or your life path. I'm talking about how you earn your money. Is going to be kind of expansion over the next year for you, as well as your health in general. So for a lot of Pisces, opportunities for work, how to increase money, stuff like that. The Chiron in Taurus is interesting for a lot of you, I think, because it's all happening in the 9th house now. So there's definitely a kind of a spiritual awakening that's going on for a lot of Pisces. Now, Pisces tends to be quite a spiritual sign, and is definitely, you know, likes to kind of, you know, go into other worlds and stuff like that. But I think there's going to be a real kind of shift in how you view that world and how you want to grow that world within yourself. That's a big, big thing that's happening here for a lot of Pisces, and that energy is really kind of taking off. But I have to say, and you've got Neptune, that's in Aries, that's in your 2nd house, as well as Saturn. So you're still looking at financial issues. Look, Pisces, stay strong, stay focused. Finances, important. You've got to be a bit more like, you know, a sort of Capricorn at the moment with your money. It's not about spending, it's about accumulating it and keeping that steady. That's that Saturn. But it's also contending with a Neptune factor, which loves to spend money, your modern ruler. So you're in this battle at the moment within yourself about money. Try and get Saturn to win if you can, because on the long term, it's much more beneficial. On the short term, if you go down a Neptune route, spend the fantasy kind of thing, it's not gonna end so well. So just be aware of that, I think, for a lot of Pisces. Okay, there you go. That's my astrological forecast for June 2026. Thank you for watching. Do like the video, do subscribe, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Thank you for watching.